you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick Podcast.
I'm far from average. That's why I had to come sit down and chop it up with DJ Maverick. They know my name from coast to coast and even in Dallas. I use my talent when I'm faced with a challenge. Gratitude strength is my magnet. Close your eyes and imagine. If you can see it in your mind, then you can have it.
Maverick Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today, we have a rock star in the building, the one and only John Paul, Zuluboy405. Welcome to the podcast.
Man, thanks for having me, my bro. Appreciate it.
I'm very excited. Before we dive into everything, for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so Zuluboy405, and that name means a lot just because it definitely describes who I am and where I am, right? So John Paul is the government name, and I also used to go by Peasy for the longest time. So a lot of people probably know me as Peasy, but Zuluboy405, I'm from KwaZulu, South Africa, and I grew up in the 405, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's rewind it back. Tell me about growing up in Africa. What was that like?
Yo, it's funny too, just because, listening to me talk, a lot of people would be surprised. That's where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I lost that cool ass accent.
Oklahoma rubbed off on you.
Man, like crazy, crazy. And I appreciate it too at the same time. So, I grew up in, I was born in Durban, which is kind of like our Oklahoma City type of thing. And I grew up in Zululand. That's my tribe. I'm sure you've heard of Shaka Zulu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like one of our very famous kings from back in the day. But, it's one of those things too that it's funny just because what I do nowadays kind of blends into what was going on back then and what got me here. But essentially, I grew up during apartheid.
Okay.
And apartheid was a time in South Africa where there was a lot of political violence. Some folks wanted things traditional and some folks wanted more progressive, where white people and black people did things together, and some didn't want that. So there was a lot of violence going on. And make a long story short, my father was part of creating a mediation kind of treaty with some of these political people.
Okay.
And
was he in politics, or is it just something he saw the need and he's like, I'm going to step up sort of thing?
Yeah. So he was actually just a shopkeeper in our neighborhood. Yeah.
Cool.
The neighborhood, the township, we call them townships in South Africa. Mm-hmm. It's called N9ne. And N9ne was on my father's side of the family. And so there was a lot of stuff going on there, and I guess he took it up upon himself.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that, right?
Yeah,
okay, I've got to step it up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. Well, and especially the type of person he is, and I think I know I'm cut from that same cloth in regards to socializing and relating with people, right? He was very good at that, and so thank God to his efforts. The ANC, which is the African National Congress, which was Nelson Mandela's party, and the IFP, the Inkatha Freedom Party, they were able to come up with a treaty, which brought a lot of peace in that area. And then it caught international kind of attention. Yeah. And so my dad was invited here to the United States to tour and kind of give lectures on mediation and the things that he had went through and how he got to a peaceful resolution with the folks over there.
Yeah, and you were even telling me he was even featured.
Yeah, 60 Minutes, and there's actually as a New York Times article right now that you Google John Mkhize and New York Times. There's an article where they speak about his efforts down there in South Africa, and also a very like something that was very celebratory for our family too, and a big achievement was he was awarded the Martin Luther King Peace Award from Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King's wife, back in like 92, 93. Yeah. So he came here and he got that award, and then he started touring around the Americas in regards to those mediation lectures, ran into Oklahoma, and I've been here ever since.
That's incredible. So you saw all this, your father's doing all this. Did you ever for a second say, hey, maybe I want to try politics as well, or no?
Well, it's not even about politics. I think it's the business of people.
True. That's true.
And I think that's really what I saw, the common denominator of all his efforts was just being able to see people for who they are. Yeah. And then if we needed a bridge, then we'll build one. It's just that simple. And so at a young age, not only did he teach me that, but he put me in those type of environments. Growing up where I'm from, my neighborhood, you rarely would see white people there, right?
Yeah.
But then I went to a private school where I saw a lot of white people, and I saw Indians and Italians and French people, and I befriended these people. They befriended me. I was going into their neighborhoods. It was a little tricky back then because, back then you would have to call the person that you're going to their house, let them know you're coming. Then that person would have to tell their neighbors that, hey, a black person,
okay.
Yeah, he's good.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
So it was very, but it was done.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I'm able to kind of be who I am and kind of propel in regards to the socializing aspect of it.
Yeah. And then culture shock, you get to Oklahoma. Tell me about that. I'm sure it's like 180, right?
Let me tell you, the craziest one is the time change.
Okay.
That's what threw me the most.
Yeah.
Because it's 9 p.m.
Right.
and the sun's still out.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what? Where
What's
am
going
I?
on?
Yeah, like
Mars, where am I? Yeah.
yeah, so that was the biggest trip. Yes, accents definitely was also something that kind of threw me. But then also at the same time, I was used to the diversity of different dialects of people.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of jump in. The hop. What is it? Is it hopscotch? What's the one they
Right.
double dutch? I
Yeah,
was able to kind of
double
just
Dutch.
I was able to just kind of jump in and just work my way in with folks. And people were very intrigued with me too, just because I was, not the average black dude that they saw.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you remember the first song that you heard when you came to Oklahoma?
Taking him fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And she was 8 years
Yeah.
old.
Don't take the girl.
Don't take the girl.
Is it Tim McGraw, right?
Tim McGraw. That was one of the
Yeah,
first
that's it.
ones.
Okay.
That and then some Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Always followed with the hip hop because hip hop was also in South Africa
Sure.
too. But yeah, when I got here, that's when I got the gist of Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
And like what's in Oklahoma's ear besides what's on the radio.
Yeah.
But yeah. That at least when I heard that, that's when it told me where I was.
You can't get more Oklahoma than that.
Yeah, no way. No way.
My understanding is there's maybe some time that you got into a little bit of trouble.
Just like any kid, man, growing up. And I think, it's one of the things I definitely hope we touch on during this discussion is the influence and the power of music.
Yeah.
Every young man wants to kick up dust here and there,
Right.
which is definitely understandable.
I mean, even as a teenager, you want to rebel, right?
That's
People
exactly
tell you, hey,
right.
don't do this. And you're
Yeah.
like, why not? Right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's one of those things where I feel that a lot of things that I was doing was definitely outside influences, and especially when it comes to the music, because
Yeah.
I got into the rap, and we were doing shows, and we were kind of making somewhat of an impact and progress.
Mm-hmm.
But then what I started realizing too is that life started imitating art,
Really?
and to the T.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where for me, again, music is what redeemed me because I found the guitar.
So music got you into trouble, but then it also saved you.
Then it saved me at the same time. Yeah. But then because what I started understanding about it is the influences, right? Because anything you do, there's a good and bad side to it, right?
Sure.
You drink enough water,
Yeah.
like that's bad for you
Too
too.
much water is
believe
bad
it or
too.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like what I started understanding is not only the influences of the music, but then also it's like, then what am I, if that's what I'm receiving, what am I putting out?
Yeah.
And so that's when I started understanding that a balance of that will dictate a more conducive life.
Got it. What did you start experimenting with at first? You mentioned guitar, but
Yeah.
then also hip hop. So what genre would you put yourself at that time?
I mean, that's a good question. It was like a folky hip hop.
Okay.
But watch this though. So
I wasn't expecting that.
yeah, no, but watch this because the dope thing about it too is like, because hip hop, especially maybe early to mid 2000s, the saturation
Yeah.
just became more prevalent, right?
It was super commercial at that time.
Everybody thought they could do it too.
Yep.
And then also the accessibility on even how to create, that became a little better too. So people can record a lot easier. You don't have to go and no more ADAT, no more 416 tracks and none of that.
Yep.
Now you can just go to your Logic or whatever it is.
Even your phone now.
Even your phone now. It's even that easier. Yeah. So being able to do all that, it helped me. But then it's like the influences growing up here in Oklahoma. I started listening to Ben Harper,
Okay.
Jack Johnson, right? And then it's like, then when I started playing, I started putting a little bit of me in there too.
Yeah.
So then it's like there's this hip hop, folky, jazzy, gumbo that just started happening, right? So then I would rap, throw a little melody, and then the songwriting just kind of took a life of its own.
Got it. What about hometown? Any influences from the hometown when you got here that you still want to integrate some of that or no?
You know, it's funny too, because my mom and my sisters are like, yo, when you gonna throw some Zulu in there? You know, what do you, and it's like I feel like I'm still finding myself to get to that point, man. I really am, because yes, there is a South African hip hop for sure, and there's a lot of different variations of it, and they're killing it over there too.
Right.
But yeah, what I want to do is marry who I am and where I'm from, as opposed to try to emulate what's going on there, right? And I feel like I'm almost there. Yeah, I'm almost there.
Where would you put hip hop present state? Would you say it's better or worse?
Man, the love of hip hop is strong, and it's even stronger. But the direction, unfortunately, I wish it was going, in a more positive, in a more fruitful place. Look, I understand everybody wants to make money, right?
Right.
But then I just think sometimes we forget that it's still about the art. It's still about putting together something that you're proud of.
Yeah.
Not that you just want to sell.
So you think it's almost too accessible where people, anybody is like a rapper nowadays or what?
It's not only is it not respected, but yes, it's too accessible. It's way too accessible. Look, the reason why we appreciate the Michelangelos, just the Rembrandts, because there's not millions of them running around,
right?
And they're all on everybody's walls, right? There's a difference between quantity and quality.
Did you start doing live shows? Like, how did you start having success there as an artist, or did you struggle? Tell me about that too, right? Because everybody always sees the end state, and like they're like, "Hey, it must be nice." They see at the end, but they don't know the struggle along the way.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's definitely a struggle, because while you're trying to be cool or whatever it is to appeal, you're still trying to figure yourself out too on that stage. True. And not only the stage, you're still trying to figure out who you are as an artist with your pen. So, but it's a beautiful struggle. It's bittersweet. Because there's so many cool experiences where it's like you crack open, you're busting out of this egg, right? It's a new you, right? It's like a phoenix, like you're rising out the fire, where a certain performance pushes you to be in a certain place, or a certain song, right? For me, man, it's just, I think if you like what you do, people will see it. And people will respect it. And so for me, I started with just open mics, and then we started just doing, little shows here and there. But then with the guitar, I started going to red dirt saloons and bars.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. And it was terrifying.
I was going to say, what's the reception like, right?
Oh,
because they probably don't expect you to show up with the guitar. And they're like, hey, what's this guy doing here?
It was, right? Not only was it terrifying, Luis, it was, after a while, I started enjoying it because they didn't know what I was about to do. They would look at me like, what is this cat about to do?
Yeah.
And then I'd come out there and whether I'm doing my own songs or I'll do some Jack Johnson, I'll flip it, do some Ben Harper, and I'd mix it up. And also, I'll do some old school stuff, whether it's like, some Pink Floyd, James Taylor.
Really?
But then I'll do like some No Diggity or Mystique.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
some Soul Child in there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was, it was fun. And that's what propelled me to push about the art of it and don't worry about the rest, which obviously I know I will have to sooner or later. But as far as just getting my foot in the door, what I wanted to do is put myself in the most uncomfortable spots so I'm comfortable when I'm in them.
Yeah. Was there any show that got a little dangerous? Maybe the reception, sometimes the crowd just doesn't vibe with you, right?
Sure.
I don't know if you had any bad experiences or not.
Man, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not saying they all went great.
Yeah.
But
you didn't get chased out the club or anything like that.
Nah. And even, because even off stage, man, I'm not very confrontational to that point. You know what I mean? It's like, everybody got enemies, but for the most part, I'm well received for the most part everywhere I go. At least I go where I'm welcome.
That's cool. Yeah. No, I think that's cool. One of the things that I always hear about Oklahoma is like, there's not really a hip hop artist that has made it out of here, right? Like there's been some bands, Color Me Bad,
sure,
Flaming Lips, right? But to say hip hop, like big time star, there's not really on the map, right? There's definitely some rising talent. They're super talented.
Absolutely.
You tell me, why do you think that is?
And well, I'll definitely second that notion. it's unfortunate, but yeah, we don't have, like just a spearheading hip hop artist out of here.
Right.
And I think, there's a few reasons why, at least I think. Obviously, we are in the middle of the country, and it's just like anything else with us, whether it's products, whether it's drugs, whatever it is, we get a little bit of everything, right? And so I think it's the same with music. We are influenced by a lot of different things, so we try our best to kind of go with what's winning.
Yeah.
But then also, there's a lot of politics here. Like, it's one of those things where I think in other places people understand who's the next up, and everybody just falls in line.
I see.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, even like Texas, right? Texas has seen a lot of artists that come out of there. They've even collab with like, artists like Jay-Z, big time artists, right?
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
so close, but yet so far. I don't get it.
And I always wonder why too, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's our radio stations or even record labels, why then? Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't we have a cool little network?
Why don't we have a Paul Wall? Why don't we have?
And we do a circuit,
right?
Yeah. And it's like our locals can open up for the Paul Walls and vice versa. Yeah. But no, it's like, when it's a different day, man. It's a different day just because, like I said, it's like in my time. I'll be specific. In my era, look, I'm 40 now, right? I feel like when it comes to the next rising artist, I'd pass that. I think there's someone else who's younger who's doing things a lot better than me. And I just think if anything, I'm going to carve out, and I've been carving out my own audience, and I'm just going to keep doing that.
You'd be surprised though. Now with social media, and we were even talking about before we started recording, you can be your own entity, your own brand, right? So I don't really think age is a factor anymore, really.
It's not.
It's all about authenticity. It's about talent, if you ask me.
Absolutely. And capitalizing on opportunities. Yeah, because, it's getting yourself set up, understanding and appreciating and being proud of who you are, and then you just keep it moving. And then somebody's going to hopefully see that, and they put some money behind it.
So it sounds like you've got everything on your radar.
Yeah.
With that in mind, how are you being strategic about the way you're putting out your music, about the way you're doing your social media, putting yourself out there?
That's a good question.
In mind, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good question because, I try my best, obviously, to not follow the leader in regards to these type of things.
There's always trends, right? Like SoundCloud rappers, like you always see the trends, right?
Spotify playlists, right? Reach out to them, pay them, whatever you got to do. So I'm very unorthodox. There's a method to my madness for sure.
Yeah.
When, right now I've always been a strong songwriter. And so what I've realized is that I can monetize songwriting, right? And so now I'm in the process of, and it's been a long process, and but it's a good one though, because the unconventional ways I've reached out to some of these people, not only am I getting attention, but I'm making progress in regards to speaking to the right people to where it's like, I can get something done. Yeah. So I approach in an unconventional way. Sometimes it might even look kind of crazy,
right?
But hopefully my intent is conveyed.
And I think that's awesome because the longevity of that, right? Like songwriting, you could be a songwriter forever.
Yeah, right? Man. Yeah. Well, for me, bro, I got to that point too, where it's like, of course, everybody would like to be a superstar, right? But I don't care anymore for that. It's about the music for me. If I cared about the money and the fame and all that, I wouldn't be doing this long because I never really, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So for me, what I understand is it's about the music. So whether I'm singing it or someone better singing it, like,
Yeah, but you must be doing something right because my understanding is you have a little story to tell with N9ne. Right?
Oh, man.
So you must be doing something right if you're on N9ne's radar, right?
It's definitely something where when that happened, I definitely felt like I'm where I'm supposed to be, man.
And he's like a rapper's rapper, right?
The god, man, one of the gods, man. Yeah. And I'm sure your audience is very familiar on who N9ne is, man. Kansas City's own. And yes, when it comes to lyricism, when it comes to just the art of rap, man, he's one of those guys. And, growing up, matter of fact, one of my best friends that I brought with me, he used to go hit up his shows before no one even knew N9ne. And matter of fact, he was the one that used to tell me, like, this dude's going to be somebody. And awesome. He's always had an ear for people like that too. So, I mean, not only did I pay attention to him, but then we gravitated to his music throughout the years. And that was my bar, guys like him who, it's not even about rapping fast. It's about the pen. It's about how strong your pen is, the lyricism. And yeah, man, so I got into the right situation. Like I said, in regards to those unconventional ways, shout out to Melly Monaco. I think that's what her last name was. Sweet lady. She's got a YouTube channel. over 350,000 subscribers,
Oh, wow.
and she does this dating show on there. And for one episode, it wasn't dating; it was like, show us your skills in whatever music, art, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And N9ne was kind of like the judge.
And it was like a live. Like
It was
people
live.
just like live.
Yeah,
calling in
and they were
whatever.
just calling in. So I was like, man, I need to get in this line.
Yeah.
So sure enough, as soon as I got in, patched into the little Gmail, whatever it was, she clicked on me, and man, it was on.
And you were ready.
I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I met the God. I let him know who he was to me.
Okay.
And what I'm about to do is because of him.
Man, that's incredible.
And by the end of that, by the end of the freestyle, I mean, N9ne, he's bobbing his head.
I was gonna say that could go only one of two ways. Either he's gonna say, "Okay, yeah, definitely, you're cut from the same cloth,"
Right.
Or, "Hey, thanks for joining
Listen,
us tonight."
he gave me
Good
one
night."
of these. He gave me
Man,
one of these.
Nice. So, what did you do? You just did a freestyle, or you did one of your songs you already had? Or
Yeah, I did have something pre-written
Yeah.
in a freestyle format.
Okay.
And so I put that down, man, and it's like I got second in that competition, but he said, "Yo, we all know who won."
Man.
And
acapella, or did they give you a beat?
I had my own beat.
You had your
yeah,
own beat?
I have my own
Okay.
beat, and I played it on there. But yes, and I definitely want to say this on the record that N9ne did say I was the truth.
There you go.
I just want to go ahead and put that out there.
Yeah. Well, but it's moments like that, right? Like capitalizing on moments like that.
That's a fact,
Did you
bro.
get a lot of recognition after that? Like what you got to run with that, right? Like,
Well, yes, and yes and no, in the sense of, get what you can, but don't be disappointed if things don't go the way you wanted, right?
Right.
Because for the most part, a lot of people would hit me up going, "Oh yeah, we about to blow up," right? So yes, I was able to talk to his management and his people, but then also it was one of those things where it's like I also understood he's not about to come grab me and put me on tour,
Yeah.
right? Like now I've established a relationship. Now it's time to cultivate that relationship. Keep doing what I'm doing, but cultivate that at the same time.
they give you a follow back at least. Did you follow him? Something?
There's been discussions. And so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just to make that contact is good enough, and it'll kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. So
But
tell me about current state, your music. What are your goals for your music current state?
So, I'm expanding, man. Just living, and the same way we grow as human beings, the same way I'm growing in my identity as a musician. I've kind of gotten into the more country side of things.
Okay.
R&B. Got into some R&B. I'm working on some kind of like some Afro-Caribbean type stuff. I already got a song out actually right now out on Spotify. It's called Mama Africa, which is like that Afro-Caribbean type
That's
of
super
feel.
hot right now. Everybody's
Yeah,
jumping on
bro.
those beats now,
It's
right?
it was so much fun. It really was, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, man, just expanding the palette, man. Just because I'm pulling from so many parts of me in regards to culture, and then where I am, I'm embedded in it, and I'm immersed, and I'm welcomed, and I'm comfortable. And I think there's nobody writes and nobody does anything better when they're comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I
that's
mean?
cool.
Yeah.
I would say, the short amount of time that we've had this discussion, you come off as really humble, right? Really authentic.
appreciate it, brother.
In the artist, musician, especially hip hop,
Yes, sir.
it's kind of hard to stay humble, right?
Yeah, well,
how do you manage that?
That's such a good question, yo. It really is. No, it really is. How do I manage that?
Because you almost have to be braggadocious. I mean, a lot of hip hop songs are about, hey, I've got this whip, I've got this girl.
Yeah.
Like, right. It's all about that. I got this chain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, bro. Like, I think that's kind of why, like, look, I still rap, but even my, my hip hop has, it's matured away from that. So if I'm not spitting like some, I'm big on lyricism. So, I'm big on like URL, smack, and battle rap. So if I'm not coming up with complex type of bars like that,
Yeah.
then it's like if the beat is suggesting braggadocious, I'm stunting on them.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, I'll stun a little bit, just to that acrobat that just flip a few times, let them know I'm still got it.
Right.
But that's not my wheelhouse no more. Not that I don't enjoy it. It's fun to jump in here and there, right? But yeah, man, I like the stuff where people gotta go, oh, what did he just say? And have to rewind it and go,
Yeah.
ooh, like that. He really just
So
said
you
that.
do a lot of wordplay.
Wordplay.
A lot of like, there's double entendre sort of things.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool. What about freestyle? Do you enjoy doing freestyle or any battle competitions along the way? Or
Nah, I've never been a freestyler. Like
Okay.
I can think off the top of my head, but I'd rather not. My
Okay.
pen is strong. And I'd rather lean to where I'm strongest at.
Yeah.
You know? But I do appreciate and I love watching them guys, you know? And especially coming from here, there's a lot of, you know, back in the little flip days, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of dudes.
Another Texas superstar.
You feel what I'm saying?
That guy blew up.
Blew
too,
up,
right?
bro. Yeah. Just that whole
And independent.
yeah, the whole screwed up click, you know? But that thing to where you can rap for 5 minutes with those rhyme patterns.
Yeah.
And I used to enjoy that type of skill when I saw it, when somebody knew how to do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe you brought up Little Flip. I mean, you talk about somebody being authentic. I remember him being on MTV, stuff like that, the way he dressed, and even like the beats with the video game sounds.
Yes, sir.
Like it's like something different, right?
Yeah,
and I think
bro.
that's why maybe he popped off. a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, because you know, people were freestyling back then, but yeah, he definitely took it to a whole nother level for sure.
So you told me that music kind of emulated life too close there for a while.
Yeah.
And you almost got into trouble. Do you have that sort of in the back of your mind that, hey, maybe I want to be a little bit careful with the lyrics and the way I present myself just because future generations are watching you? Right?
Absolutely. And like I said, it dictates who I'm going to be even off the stage, right? And I feel like that's why I have gravitated to more wholesome music, more just fun music, right?
Yeah.
It's funny too, because it's like, you know, where I'm from, bro, it can get real country, right? And then it can also get pretty city when you go into the Durbans and the beachfronts and blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm a Zulu, like we're cattlemen. Like, we're known for being warriors and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But we're cattlemen, bro. We just like some land with some cows and some crops in the family. You know what I mean? So what I was able to find in Oklahoma was that it was, you know, it's like it was so weird how both cultures are so similar.
Right.
And so I was able to fit right in. And so like, that's where I'm at even with my music. It's peaceful music, fun music. I'm just, it's funny because people say to me, like, man, I don't ever, like, I listen to rap, but I listen to like old stuff, Brother Lynch and Pac and things like that. And if I'm not listening to them, man, I'm on some country station.
I was about to put you on the spot. I was going to say, you know, the new guys, some of the guys that you're kind of feeling, but it sounds like you're still listening to some old school, right?
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I know, you know, the pops, from the Pop Smokes to the Dusty Locanes to, I mean, I know the guys that are out there. I know who's hitting, right? I try to pay attention in regards to that. But yeah, in regards to like the influence of the music, man, I'll just take a little sample nowadays, and because I just know how powerful it is, man.
Definitely. Do you enjoy the social media aspect of it? Because now it's not like you can only have the luxury of being just an artist.
Yeah.
Right? You also have to be your own marketing. Your own, like, you know, content creator. Like it's crazy.
Well, and this is the thing. People need to understand that just because that can be done, it doesn't mean you got to be doing it.
True.
Because some of us are just not good at that type of stuff. Like you have to call, you know, pay somebody to do your internet promotion, bro, because you're not good at that. Right. You're just good at being on stage or whatever it is you're good at. But it's one of those things for me with social media is too much accessibility. I miss those days of the mysteriousness on where's that person, where they at.
Yeah.
What are they about to do next?
You just see like a logo or a name on a flyer.
That's it.
That's it. You don't
jumping in the car and that's it. Yeah. Like I miss them days. And I'll be honest too, those artists from those days, that's why we still listen to them now. It's just because there's still a level of mystery about them, you know? Yeah. There was a cool thing, and there is a cool thing about being able to touch or reach out. Like it is dope to know I can just DM freaking Madonna or whoever I want to DM. I can just hopefully they answer, but if not, they don't.
I mean, that's a better opportunity than somebody had in the past, right?
Sure.
At least now it's accessible.
Sure.
You never know.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another, right?
Yeah. I mean, there is a good and bad about it. Yeah. There is. But, you know, it's even, like I said, even with the quality of music, I feel because of that, a lot of it will be lost in translation. I don't think everybody will remember all 15 albums.
Right.
You know, I hope so.
I think the other thing that's cool too with social media is that you're able to see what your fan base looks like.
That is
what
true.
kind of vibe, right? Like
absolutely.
Beyonce has her beehive or whatever. Yeah. She can interact with fans. Before you could never do that.
That's very true.
You never knew like, what do my fans look like? What do they vibe with? What do they want me to do? Now you can get that feedback.
That's very true. And you can just talk to them whenever you want, right? Yeah. You don't have to put out no press release, no nothing. You can just go, hey, this is what I want to do, guys. Y'all want to come? Or no, there's, like I said, there's definitely a benefit to it for sure. But I think, but I think it's diluted and kind of taken away from that mystique of an artist too at the same time, to where now it's like everybody thinks they can be one, they can talk to them.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, you would have those celebrity crushes, right? I was talking to the old lady the other day. Shout out to the old lady, Sugarfoot. All right. You know, and we were talking. She was talking about a celebrity. I said, "Don't you tell me about no celebrity crush, because nowadays you could reach out and they might respond."
That's true.
You know what I mean?
And some celebrities have gotten in trouble because of that, right? Like they DM like somebody, they get in trouble, and then she screenshots or whatever.
Exactly. And I told her, I said, "You don't want me to have one either, because you don't want me to reach out.
Yeah.
She might call back."
Yeah, for sure.
So no, it's a push and pull. It's a push and pull. But yeah, that's who I would be if I ever had that opportunity, man. I would definitely create a channel of communication, but it wouldn't be like what it is now. That's why I kind of respect what Kanye does.
True.
If you look at Kanye, he's not that accessible.
He put something on IG is when he has a new album,
There we go.
project, and then he deletes everything.
And even
It's
the
like
album
a reset.
itself, right?
Yeah.
He'll put the album and take it right off.
Yeah.
Or they will take it off, whatever it is.
Some of that's due to licensing and stuff like that. He doesn't get stuff cleared all the time. And it's like Ozzy Osbourne was fighting him on his last album.
Wow.
He's like, hey, you didn't clear this with me. Take it off, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like, I mean, even with someone like him too, I think it would be easy for him to constantly do what he used to do, right? Where he'd just get on the phone and start, complaining about whatever issue it was.
Yeah.
But now that whole mysteriousness thing, it's helping.
True.
It's helping the branding and the marketing too.
Yeah. So which approach are you going to take? It sounds like you're going to be sort of a mysterious, right?
Well, I'm just a private person anyway.
Okay.
You look at my IG, man, I'm not showing off, like the inside of my house, my family, it's like, I don't do all that.
Yeah.
That's for me. You know what I mean? I think so. I think some people just overshare sometimes.
That's true too. Yeah.
But
What about doing lives? Do you ever do lives and do performing live just for your fans and stuff?
Oh
like
man,
that?
I enjoy that the most.
Okay.
I really do. The live shows it's the bread and butter financially, but also when it comes to the rewarding feeling of doing this thing. That's why I do it, bro.
Yeah.
It's because when you see, like after the show, some lady will come up like, man, that song, reminded me of my grandmother or my aunt or a friend, whatever it is. Like, that's what it's about. I do a lot of private events too, weddings, birthday parties, little cookouts.
Cool.
But that's, for me, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned you had several sort of names, but why Zuluboy405? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so
How'd you land on that? I know there was several others. Maybe you want to mention some of those too.
well, it was Peasy for the longest time, and then it was just kind of PZY. But Peasy was from like the street element of me when I was younger. So when I left all that, I had to shed that name in a sense. So, and like I said, Zulu is who I am, and to the Father, Unkulunkulu is the one who came before us in our tribe, and that's who we come from or what we come from.
Right.
And so I'm only a boy, in the tribe. I'm still a child. I always will be. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, man.
And then you put the 405.
But the 405, yeah, it's just
you're putting your feet down.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna rep for the
oh
405.
yeah, man. This is Oklahoma, man. I say it in one of my songs, man. The city raised me, man. The bottom made me, because South Africa, it's called Mzansi. In Zulu, Mzansi means the bottom. And we're literally at the bottom of the freaking continent. So,
Yeah.
But I say that in one of my songs that the bottom made me and the city raised me.
Like that.
Yeah, no, Oklahoma, man. It's part of me, man, and I love the state. I've grown to love it more and more the older I get, man, because the people have welcomed me, and I appreciate every little bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into band school.
Oh yeah,
Tell me about
yeah. So
that.
that's the
That was
new-
super interesting when I saw that. I was like, man, that's cool.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
man. And hopefully it's something that people can, take heed to and enjoy, man. So Man School is it's a new venture and platform that I'm launching on all social media platforms. But it's a place where men teach men how to be men.
Yeah.
Simple and plain, man. And I'm sure people can agree with me that manhood and just being a man nowadays there's a negative kind of stigma around it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And for all sorts of reasons. But most importantly for me, for people who maybe didn't have much of that, or maybe want a little more of it.
Right, because a lot of people don't have the luxury of growing up with the dad.
That's exactly right,
Yeah,
bro. That's exactly
Fill that
right.
void.
Yeah, man. And then some people did, but they didn't get a chance to really, bond with their pops, right? There's so many reasons why men need other men to help them be better men. And so that's what this platform is. We are going to be providing advice, suggestions, and just anything and everything to help calibrate a man throughout his life, all ages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's something it's essential and it's necessary.
Even like the basic stuff. I remember I saw a guy
Absolutely.
on TikTok that he's just like an older guy and he's like, I'm going to be your dad. I'm going to teach you how to tie a tie. I'm going to teach you like how to change a tire, right? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like even basic stuff like that.
Social etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. Just how to conduct yourself. And it can be done comfortably too, man. It's to where it's convenient. It's on a phone. You can do it private. Ultimately, I want to come up with some courses where people can, they can register. And based on whatever tier that you want to get into, you dive in.
That's awesome. Also, probably like your ambitions, right? Like if you want to go towards this career or something
Absolutely.
like that, you can maybe guide that content towards that as well. Right?
That's where we're going. Ultimately, we're going to have a network where it's entrepreneurs, businessmen, every man in all walks of life. We're going to be in this one platform, and anything you need, it's there, right? You need a job, you might be able to get one through the spot. Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What made you come up with this? You're just like, because your dad and everything he did for you, or like,
man, I'm cut from that cloth, man.
Yeah.
I feel like, it is a duty as a human being to contribute to the environment and the community you're in, and to try your best to leave things better than you found them.
Yeah.
So my father has blessed me with a mind, man, with a mind. So I definitely want to use that mind and weaponize it in the most positive way. And I have so many ideas, So it's like now it's just about, and I've always been this way. I got irons in a lot of fires.
Yeah, I like that. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Pretend I'm an investor. I've got some capital. Give me your elevator pitch for Man School. Why do I want to invest in Man School?
Okay. Well, first, I appreciate the opportunity. But most importantly, with Man School, not only are we helping the everyday man, but we also get to make some money at the same time, right? What we can do with Man School is affect and improve every aspect of marketing, of life, when it comes to a person getting a job or their everyday kind of, daily life and with their families. So if we're able to come up with some programs that people can be invested in, I think it's something that can be conducive.
Yeah, and who wouldn't want to be a part of that, right? You're changing the future, impacting the future, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if anybody had it how they want it, at least what I'd like to think is that you want to make some money and you want to help out a little bit too, kind of at the same time, Yeah. And so I think with something like Man School, especially if I start getting some prominent and influential people there too, more people might even take heed to the messages, So
it'd be incredible. I'm always like brainstorming. I'm already brainstorming. Like you could have like, shadowing. If, hey, this guy wants to do this, you can shadow, like all that, building that network. It's almost just as big.
Absolutely,
right?
Bro. Absolutely. Yeah. I want to even create like some kind of like everybody puts in and there's a suspense account, and, whether somebody's trying to get a CDL or whatever it is, but we create a way where you can submit an application.
That's cool.
To this to this network of men where, look, I'm trying to get here and this is what I'm trying to do and this is what I can pay back, so on and so forth.
So what would be your target demographic? Like what age are we talking about would be the ideal?
All ages.
All ages.
All ages. And I want to be able to hit all ages and, whether it's influencers, whether it's 16, 17-year-olds and 25-year-olds, everybody that are in different parts of a man's life, and to represent that. That's cool. I want to be able to do it that way. Yeah.
That's cool. So when are we talking? Was there going to be a launch soon? Like what do you
Launch is going to be this weekend.
This weekend?
This weekend. We're launching this weekend.
I was not expecting that soon.
And we're going to be doing some street interviews. It's about to get warm too. So we're going to go out there and ask, the average man some advice or suggestions that they could provide too. So it's going to be reach one, teach one.
Yeah. It's something that I've always wanted to do is go to a retirement home.
Yeah.
And ask them, hey, like, what's your biggest regret?
Yeah.
I think we can learn so much about the older people too. Yeah. Right? Because we always value these things that at the end of the day probably don't matter. Right?
Absolutely.
The car we drive, right? Like the clothes we wear.
Yeah.
That's not going to be your regret.
That's so true.
Right?
That's so true. Yeah. And the wealth of wisdom that they have, man, I can only imagine for sure.
Yeah. So that's cool. You're going to launch it, do some interviews, and then people can start signing up.
They can start. Well, first, just enjoy the content.
True.
Let's just enjoy the content and implement it in your everyday life.
So that's going to be free, content free.
Content is
sign
free.
up required.
Absolutely, content is completely free.
Okay.
And then when the courses are fully developed, that's when they can kind of, they can register for those. But yeah, let's just absorb the content for now and see it for what it is. Because my thing, especially with the YouTube part of it, I want people to learn more than give me some money. Just, man, if you called, or if you texted, or you put in the comments, I tried this and it's working.
Right.
That's it. Like that's what I need.
So that's almost more rewarding, just the social aspect.
Oh my God.
To you.
Yes, sir.
If you can change one person's life.
Oh, yes, sir.
It's worth it, right?
Yes, sir. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
That's cool. So where can people find the content?
So Man School will be on YouTube. It'll be on Instagram. It's going to be on TikTok, all social media platforms for sure.
Cool. What's the username that they can search up? Or
it's going to be Man School all together with a K.
With the K.
Yes, sir. Man School with the K. One word.
I see that you're kind of like me. You've got a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
A lot of things. So how do you sort of like?
My pops always used to say to me that you will make time for the things you want to do.
Okay.
What you want to do, you will make some time for. So, it's all about delegating and creating schedules.
Yeah.
But it can be done, and I've been doing it all this time. It's just, like I said, it's about prioritizing, right? Prioritize what needs to be done as opposed to what you want to do. But one day I do this, the next day I do that.
Yeah. Tell me, do you think sort of growing up and not having all the resources, not having, all this stuff, is that a positive thing? Like, to me, I grew up, with not having everything, obviously, right? So to me, that's almost like an advantage. I don't know how you look at it, but having a chip on my shoulder and something to prove
well said,
makes me more competitive.
Yeah. No, look, we don't have enough time, but if you even knew the backstory, it's been uphill ever since. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't want it any other way, man. Like I said, I'm from Gwandengezi, South Africa, bro. And that's my dad used to say, I came from nowhere, but I'm now here. You know what I mean? If you ever write that down and see the wordplay about that, you'll get it, because it's all about the hardships that make you enjoy those good times. You have to know the dark side, bro, before you see the light. Things have to get tough before they get easy. And when they do get tough, when you touch the easy side, man, it tastes even sweeter. Yeah. It tastes even sweeter.
For sure.
It makes me appreciate who and where I am, bro, just because of how hard it was to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have it any other way?
Can't. No. Wouldn't, and I can't.
Okay.
I can't. Unfortunately, I lost my pops last year. And he's back home in South Africa, so it was hard to mourn him being so far away. But like I said, if I wasn't raised the way I was raised in regards to appreciate what you got, man, appreciate what you got, because there's somebody else who's got it 10 times worse than you, and I've seen it. Thank God I've been fortunate enough to grow up here to where I was away from a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I know it. I remember it, and I'm glad I'm here.
So you think your life would have been completely different had you stayed back home?
Listen, Luis, I wouldn't be, man, I wouldn't be here talking to me right now? Man, I wouldn't be alive.
No?
I got a big mouth.
Yeah, okay.
If I see something, I got to say something. If it's not right, right?
So it's like super dangerous back home, or what?
It can be for people like me.
Okay.
I talk too much. So yeah. Well, because even for my father, I remember at some point where he would have to check the cars for the car bombs and things like that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was a few assassination attempts on his life.
Okay. Just because everything he was involved with. And
just because he was trying to stop the violence. And some of them were going, no, the violence is making us money, right? It's whatever. It's definitely something where, I remember them days, because obviously when you're young, you don't get what's going on.
Yeah.
But why are you always every morning? You'd be out there and you under the car, and one day he explained it, and at the store that he owned a few times, they would, luckily because of who he was able to be warned before things got worse. But
because I think as a kid, we don't often realize all the hardships and everything that our parents had to do, right?
Yeah.
Like we think that, it's just a fun thing. He likes to check the car or whatever.
Yeah, no.
You don't understand the repercussions of that. Right?
Absolutely. No, and I got to give that to him. Life is good, even in the midst of all that chaos. I didn't,
You didn't really understand the
I knew I was safe. Yeah. I knew that. They made sure to know that, hey, okay, y'all get down, there's gunshots, boom, boom, boom. We are all good.
Crazy.
We are all good. It was all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, but like I said, it got to, I remember once, I'm gonna tell you a little quick story, and I'll be quick. They were doing these riots and strikes, and basically they were saying if you work for a white person or you went to a white school, you couldn't go. So my parents, I went to a private school, right? It was a convent. We were taught by nuns.
Okay.
And so my dad and my mom was like, no, you're going to school. Y'all are going to school. So they took our uniforms and packed them in the back. And then when we got to the checkpoint to get out of our neighborhood, they're looking at us to make sure y'all ain't going to some, you're not going to go to your white bank to go work, and you're not taking these kids at white school. No. Man. Then we drive out the neighborhood, and the parents threw our uniforms back on us.
Lots of sacrifices.
Lots of sacrifices, man. Yeah.
We don't always realize that till we're older.
Absolutely.
And then we figure out, hey, also what I've realized is maybe my parents didn't have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because I don't have it figured out.
Right.
And as a kid, you think your parents they know everything.
Yeah.
They've got it all figured out. Endless money in the bank, right? You're asking for all these crazy toys, crazy clothes. And it's man. You don't realize till you're older, hey, maybe they didn't have it figured out because I don't have it.
Right. They were just trying to get to the next day, just like anybody else. Yeah. And protect their family. Yeah. So, I mean, I owe it to them, and I owe it to the ones that, I stand on their shoulders, So when it comes to the music, even my intent with music, man, it's not, yes, make money, but, it's to spread a little something positive, something good.
And also the relationships, right? So I imagine there's a lot of networking. Tell me about the music scene here in Oklahoma. For those that don't know, it's a pretty big music scene. And a lot of indie artists.
And it's only getting bigger, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful because I remember when there's no ACM. And so when ACM came, that really empowered a lot of these young folks. Like, you know what? I can be a producer. Or I can go be a rapper or sing or whatever, or even grab an instrument.
Right.
And it just emboldened a lot of people, and I think it was so dope because a lot of people started creating these little hubs like Hubbly Bubbly, that Beer City down there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many cool little spots over there. The Ice Event Center, they do a lot of stuff there too. Queens Lounge, on the west side of the city. And now what's happening there too is that these folks are, people are creating little followings for themselves, right?
Awesome.
And then they get these little cult followings where you can tell on a certain side of the venue, they're there for the Sativa Prophets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know the Sativa Prophets, but, Mars Deli, one of my favorite acts, I tell him all the time. He's from here in the city.
Yeah.
Crazy dude, man. He'll get in like a back handspring and start rapping. Just a crazy talent, dude. But yeah, no, I love the individualism, man, the artistry and the bravery with some of these kids. I really do appreciate it.
And you think that there's a collab sort of environment where artists are willing to work with one another? Like there's no hate?
Yeah. It does get a little too like, cliquish, where it's like just friends kind of deal with friends type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think when people get a little older, they'll start understanding the formulas, right? Like, it'll make sense if we collab because of what we're doing. It's kind of like that Michael Uday guy that you had over here, man. I love that episode because,
awesome.
He was he's so right about the understanding of collabing with similar artists and sharing that fan base. But then I also agree with what you were saying in regards to a lot of artists not wanting to share their fan base.
Right. That's what I see, right?
I get it.
And even like the secret sauce, like, if I'm a drummer, I don't want to tell you how I get the snare sound.
Exactly right. That's exactly
right. If I'm a DJ, I don't want to tell you how I see that all the time.
But see,
I don't know why.
Well, no, you're right, because that's what happens most of the time, unfortunately. But see, what I see he's doing, which I do understand, is it is people like me who go, look, if something makes sense, I'm down to collab and make it work.
Yeah.
Right? Let's get this hit out and then we divvy up the song and let's just keep it moving. Right? There are like-minded people who do understand the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. And I think if hey, I vibe with this person, I've got 1,000 fans, they've got 1,000 fans.
There we go.
We do a collab, all of a sudden
we're winning.
2,000 fans, right?
Yeah. And then maybe, there's a certain post where it was a cross collaboration type of post, and they got the most feedback in the comments, right? So now it's telling you, everybody's like buzzing when we talk. We have to do so. It makes sense, right? Not just because we're friends, not just because we like each other. It's because this makes sense. And then also we can be friends, that's neither here or there. Yeah. But I think there's more of let's be friends than let's make things work.
It's good to hear.
And if more people thought let's make things work, and I think what Michael Uday is trying to do is if he is encouraging that thought, the like-minded people will gravitate to it, and then the ones that kind of are unsure, they'll see what's going on, and then if if they're like, it works, they'll come over.
That's true.
You know?
Another thing that I liked was you kind of see that if the space doesn't exist, create it.
Exactly.
That's what I've been noticing with a lot of artists around here. Like,
there we go.
Hey, there's nowhere to perform.
Right.
Let's rent out a place. Let's make our own night. Right.
That's it. And I feel like that's what it is that like-minded people will gravitate to that. Because when I heard him say it, I said, man, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's so cool because sometimes, Luis, at least for me, I feel very powerless when it comes to being an artist and trying to make something move, bro. You know, Michael mentioned the stats when it comes to what, 1 million streams, 1,000 streams, you get $3,500.
Yeah, you're not gonna
Like,
you're not gonna make it, right?
You're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
And everybody that you see out here, as much as the internet, the Instagram might make them look like they're popping.
Yeah.
They're not making no money off their streams at all. If anything, they're doing shows.
Yeah.
And then they're able to cash
I
in.
would say now the new model is building a community.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
then if you do have 1,000 followers, you don't need a crazy 100,000 followers.
There we go.
If they mess with you, they're
we
going to
go.
support you. You drop merch, you have a show, whatever it is, those 1,000 people will add up quickly.
There
right?
we go.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what N9ne did.
Yeah.
Because his was such a unorthodox group of people too, right? It's like he was a rapper, but it was like skaters and insane clown. Remember he was touring with insane clown boss at one time.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, but he did what you said.
Yeah.
Them first it started with 500. It started with my partner who used to go to Diamond Ballroom, and there was like 65 people there. He was one of them. And then he built it and polished it. Yeah.
You ask any of those fans, and they're like hardcore fans. They probably could mention every album, every song.
Exactly.
They could probably tell you like, specific shows that they've followed him.
Yeah.
Right?
And that love and that was, that dedication is different than that shallow dedication of just people who just, another Drake song or another Future song. That's different dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're definitely going to have you back. But
Man,
before we sign off.
I'd love to, man.
Plug in your socials. Where can people find you?
Right on.
Do you have any new music coming out or anything like that? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm actually about to drop a new acoustic single. It's called She's in My Soul. So I hope everybody checks that out. But on Spotify and all streaming platforms, it's Zuluboy405. That's ZULUBOY 405.
Awesome.
And check out my YouTube too. I do a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Okay.
Just real quick. I do a lot of live streaming type of stuff, self-help. I've got a series called Challenge Yourself, right? Where I offer different challenges that kind of help you in everyday life, man. Whether it's anger problems, anxiety, you name it. I know I got something in there to where if you challenge yourself and what I put forth, if you try to implement it, I know it'll help out. So I got that on there on my YouTube channel. It's Zuluboy405.
Okay. And be on the lookout for Man School.
Man, be on the lookout for Man School. That's Man School with a K, one word. And like I said, man, that's where we're going to help men. We're going to teach men to be better men. And it's going to be by other everyday men.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Can't thank you enough, sir.
Yeah.
It's been a
Thank you so
pleasure. Much obliged.
All right. There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the super talented John Paul, a.k.a. Zuluboy405 on the Maverick Podcast. Keep grinding because in dreams we trust.